Today we're sitting down with Josh Pavlock, founder and CEO of Osprey Media Studios, and the writer, producer, and director behind Checked Out.
We're talking filmmaking, the real behind-the-scenes process, and what it takes to actually bring the idea to life. Josh Pavlock, you're on the hook.
Josh, I think that a lot of people growing up or in life or whatever, they kind of imagine themselves making a film, but of course they don't.
Right.
So was there a moment when you realized you had to become a filmmaker and not just that it was something cool one day to maybe think about?
When I was younger, I was into theater. I wanted to actually go on Saturday Night Live. That was like my dream when I was in high school. But things, happened in life. I ended up going into the military, and then I started a family. And when you start a family, all that kind of goes to the back burner. So I worked on my professional career, and it was always in the back of my mind, making movies, being in movies. When my kids graduated from high school and went off to college and they were okay, and everybody was like, okay, they've got their own career paths, they're doing their own thing, they're going to be successful, they don't need my help anymore, I was like, it's my turn. My thought process on that was, nobody's going to give me a Hollywood movie to direct or star in right off the bat because I've done absolutely nothing in years. So I was like, I'm going to have to do it myself. And that's when I got the idea of, I'm going to write a movie and make a movie. And that's how that whole thing came about. I was out just mowing my lawn one day and I'm like, I'm going to make a movie. I'm going to do it. And just made the decision to do it.
Some of my best moments happen in the shower, but I'd imagine mowing the lawn is similar.
Yes. I have like 3 acres to mow, so I'm out there for a while. So and I do a lot of thinking out in the mower. This has been a 6-year project for me.
Wow.
Yeah. From idea to finally coming to having a private screening has been 6 years.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to dive into, we want to know everything.
Yeah, we're going to know everything.
So all the filming has happened.
Yes.
Obviously, we're way past that.
Yeah, we filmed in 2024. The summer of 2024, I broke it into 3 different sections. We had one section in June, another section in August, and then the last section at the end of August. And I broke it up. I did the first section was like a weekend. It was the smaller parts of the movie because it was the first time the crew had met, the actors had met, and we wanted to get a groove going, and I wanted to figure things out and then give us a month to go, okay, let's do lessons learned. Let's figure out what we can do better. How can we make this more efficient? Things like that. And so I took a whole month, and then I started the major filming process. The next filming set was like 6 days. And then the last one was 14 days. We did some reshoots too. It ended up being like 24 days in total of filming. The way I looked at it is, and I've told the cast and crew this, the way I look at it is it's just like anything else. You have to manifest it, but you wake up in the morning, and when you wake up in the morning, if you have a 9 to 5 job, you're going to go to work. And as soon as your eyes open that you're going to get out of bed, you're going to do your routine, whether it's brush your teeth, take a shower, have breakfast, say hi to the kids, get in the car, drive to work. And there may be some things in your way that change, a kid gets sick or there's a traffic jam or something, but inevitably you will end up at your office sitting at your computer working at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you get up at 6. So I kind of like looked at this entire process like that. I started out and I was like, I'm just waking up. I have to write a script. I got to do this. I got to do that. We have to film it. We have to edit it. And eventually I will be sitting in a theater with all my friends and family and the cast and crew, and we will be watching this movie. I'm just taking the journey to get there. And that was my mentality through this whole thing. And there were times when I had to pivot along the way, just like you do in your everyday routine. But I knew that eventually, and I kept that in mind, eventually I'm going to be in the theater watching my movie with my friends and my cast and crew. And that's what kept me going through this whole ordeal over the last 5 years of making this.
Did you have a chair with your name on it?
I did.
Amazing.
I did. Actually, I didn't have that. I didn't own that. But one of my associate producers was like, hey, you need this. And she went out and bought one for me and brought it on set. And I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah.
Well, I have to ask, what's the wildest thing that maybe happened on set? Or can you tell us?
So the wildest thing that happened on set, I would have to say the most craziest thing that happened is we have a boat in the movie, and during filming the boat sunk.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and it was nuts because we were doing night shoots and everything looked great, and we cut and we all went inside and we slept during the day, and then we went to go shoot the next night, and I went outside and the boat was underwater. And it was underwater like 2 inches above the brim of the boat. So it wasn't completely underwater, but was just underwater enough where I could save it. And so I had to like go buy a sump pump and get a truck and some straps and pump out all the water and try to pull it out of the water, and it was a big mess.
Do you know why that happened?
So there is a specific scene in the movie where we are doing stuff around the boat, and when we were doing stuff around the boat, one of the actors accidentally, I guess, undid the drain plug in the bottom of the boat while they were acting, and we didn't know it, and water slowly started to fill into the boat. And then up higher in the boat, there is a location where there's a hole where all the wires and stuff from the engine goes into the boat, and when the water got to there, it filled in, and that was the most frustrating and the biggest problem that we had on set. There were some other pivot positions. We had some talent that decided not to show up last minute, and I had to replace them, but it actually worked out. There's a lot of those moments where it was like, oh my gosh, this is a big problem, and it was a happy accident. We ended up getting somebody better actually at the last minute to fill the position. Way better, two positions actually, way better actor and way better actress were replaced with. So
Universe was looking out for you.
Yes, I was very fortunate.
It is crazy in life how some of the things that seem like the biggest disasters end up being the biggest blessings.
Yes. We call them happy accidents on set. And then with a big thing too with our crew is we do the whole Ross and Rachel pivot. We say that all the time because every time something goes wrong, we're like, all right, we're going to pivot.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a way to take a negative and make it a positive.
Yeah.
Well, you seem like you're not the nightmare director at all. Like, I would not be afraid of you in any way. I'd be totally stoked to work with you.
No, thank you.
You know, because I know you as a person, and you're sweet, you're friendly, but I'm sure you got to get down to business.
You do. You got to get down to business. But I run my set very collaboratively. I allow even the lighting guy and the best boy to, hey, I was wondering why, blah, 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 blah. And we may change a scene. We may change some lines. If somebody's got a good idea, I'm all ears. But that's also another reason I think it shows in this film that, it wasn't just one-minded, it was a collaborative thing. So I told the actors, I said, I'm giving you this character and I'm entrusting you with this character. If you read a line and you think my character wouldn't say it that way, let me know. During the table read, let me know. We'll change it. We'll alter it. If I think it's appropriate or if it goes with the rest of the story, then we can change it.
I love that. I'm by no means an actress, nor did I ever want to be one, but I was talked into 2 years in a row for a nonprofit doing a murder mystery and having a character. And my character was really kind of bland, and there was all these vampires in the last one and people with these accents, and I was just like some regular person. And so I kind of channeled into Anna Nicole Smith, and I had a blonde wig, and I went super Southern, and I kind of changed my lines a little bit to make it all flow, and it worked so well. And if somebody hadn't allowed me to have that kind of freedom with the character, I would have had the most boring. It really kind of added to the whole thing. It was fun.
Please tell me there's video of that.
There is video.
Oh.
There is definitely video. I have a blonde wig down to here, booty shorts.
There we go.
That was just a couple months ago.
Oh my gosh. I hear in my head right now Midnight Margaritas and Jess's movie.
Oh my God. Okay, so you gave us the time frame for filming, and you said that was a total of
23 days.
23 days. Okay, so let's break down that. So that's the actual filming, but there is so much more.
Yes.
So how much of that compared to everything else that had to happen?
So there is a lot of prep before the filming. There's a lot. You have to, of course, write something. You have to have a script. So I had never written a script before, so I had to learn how to do that. So it was a lot of Googling, a lot of researching. Then you have to find a program that does it, because what I have found is that a lot of Hollywood producers and film people out in California, they want to see a certain style. They've got different templates that you can use, like Warner Brothers has a template. And so I used Final Draft. That's the one that I found that I like the best. It's easy to write, easy to manipulate. It's very user-friendly. So I downloaded Final Draft. I paid for that. And then I started writing my script. I thought of different exciting things that I wanted to see in the movie first. So I thought of a general story. That came about because I was trying to think of the cheapest film to make. I was like, what's the cheapest film to make? I don't have a special effects budget. I don't have video effects or any of that type of budget. And so I can't do like a sci-fi movie. I couldn't do a space movie. So, and then I started thinking, okay, maybe I could do a rom-com, but then you have to get permits if you film out in town. And I'm thinking, oh, if we we need a restaurant or we need this or blah, blah, blah. I got to have permits. I can't afford that. This is a super low budget film. So I had a friend of mine who had an Airbnb. I asked him, I said, can I film at your Airbnb house? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And that's how I actually started thinking about the story. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a thriller because I could probably do that mostly at one location. I don't have to move around. I don't have to get permits. I don't have to any of that stuff. So I started there. And then I went to my IT background and I came up with the idea of, well, what if somebody had an Airbnb and the killer knew that they were there? And I was like, how would they know they were there? What if there's an auction online and on the dark web and serial killers bid on Airbnb information that's on the dark web? Whoa. And I was like, I was like, kind of like eBay for serial killers. So then I kind of went down that path and then I started thinking of the characters. I started thinking of how they interacted with that. And I built the story around that premise.
Taylor? Oh my God. Is this where you've been? Do not jump out and scare me. You know I hate that shit.
That's kind of the baseline of the movie, but it doesn't get touched on a whole lot. I actually wrote a trilogy. There's actually 2 other movies.
Yeah, we were going to ask about that.
There's actually 3 movies. This first one is kind of an origin story and an introduction to the story. So it doesn't cover too much of that. It just introduces the idea so that the audience knows what's going on.
Guys? Where's Taylor? I haven't seen her in a while.
Please, Taylor would have hurt a fucking fly. But you would. Why did it take you so damn long to make those drinks? You were gone quite some time.
Where were you, Sarah? And how did you say you got that bruise on that arm again? You slipped? Slipped how?
Whoa, don't be blaming me for this shit. I didn't do anything.
I started thinking of each of the exciting moments that I wanted to have in the movie and how it would end. And I wrote those down on 3x5 cards. I wrote little notes and I placed them out. And then I was like, okay, how do I go from this one to that one? How do I go from this one to that one? How do I go from this one to that one? And I started filling in the blanks with 3x5 cards. And each 3x5 card was a scene. And then I would take the 3x5 cards and I would write the scene and write the characters. And that's how I built the story, basically.
Do you have all those cards?
I don't. I don't have them anymore.
Josh,
no.
What in the world?
They get tossed out. You change them all the time and you toss them out.
It's so funny because when we interview musicians, there's always a story of that one song where they wrote it on a napkin really quick and it's gone.
Yeah.
So that's your napkin.
Yeah. Apparently a lot of artists and a lot of writers do that with 3x5 cards. They write scripts with 3x5 cards. That's how they do it. So
okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me because if you have it in a long doc that just keeps going, it's harder to piece it.
Yeah. It's kind of like piecing together a puzzle.
Right.
When you're doing it, especially the first time. This was my first time, so it was a slow process to get going. Once the momentum started going, though, then it just kind of flowed. But it was a slow process.
Are you there? I know you're upset. Can we talk this out? Please. Just let us go. I have always stood up for you. Look, I know you hated the others, but I've always been there for you. Just leave Jordy for me. Please. What do you want? Why are you doing this? No. 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 No.
So the cards sound like they're very time consuming, but is that the most time consuming when you're building a film and making a film?
I think the most time consuming is the editing. Editing is, there's so much involved in it. And a lot of people don't know that, once the movie is filmed, there is still, you're only a quarter of the way through the process. There is still so much work that has to be done. You have to edit the film. You have to put all the pieces together. Then you have to do sound design, and you have to make sure that all the audio is correct. You have to make sure that you have all of your continuity. If you have one angle and you have an actor and their hands are in one position, and you cut to another angle and their hands are in a completely other position, that screws up your whole scene, and you have to go through all your shots. And then there's also the tedious task of finding all the files once you put them on a hard drive and labeling them correctly, and then importing them and then matching them up because you have your audio files and your video files. Then there's coloring. Coloring is absolutely a nightmare because you want to get somebody's skin tone absolutely right, because you don't want them to look orange and you don't want them to look blue. You want them to look like you see in real life every day. And so you try to get that perfect color, but then you export and then you stick it on one thing and you're like, oh, the gamma settings on this program are different than the program that I was in. So now it looks completely dark. I can't see anything. It's like I didn't turn on any lights. So I have to edit different for that. Let me export in a different gamma ray. Oh, nope, that's not right either. And it's a nightmare. So, and getting it just right. And like for our private screening, I had to find out exactly the gamma settings for the theater, for the projector that they use, so that I could properly export it so it looks good in the theater. Now, when I go to put it online someday, I'm going to have to export it a different, because QuickTime looks different than Media Player, and YouTube looks different than Vimeo. It's all, you got to look into the technical specs of all that stuff. So it gets to be really tedious. And then, of course, staring at it constantly. I had my associate producers, I would like edit scenes and send them to them. I'd stick them on YouTube and send them a link, private link, and be like, what does this need? Like, oh, you need to cut this. You need to cut that. Oh, I see a boom mic here. Oh, I missed that. You got to punch in on this, blah, blah, blah. And they would help me see the things that I didn't see because I was staring at it for so long. Editing, you start to just go glassy. So, yeah, it takes a really long time.
Well, and they have those people who spend their days going to movies and trying to find the things that are wrong,
Yes.
Have you ever watched those?
Yes.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, things I would have never noticed, but the things like you're saying, well, he was holding a red cup and now he was holding a blue cup and turned at a different angle. And it's like, oh my God, who has time to...
Yeah.
I just want to get lost in the movie. I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
How about we walk these lonely miles together?
What is something that you experienced in the movie that you realized, might look really easy to people seeing a movie, but that is super complicated behind the scenes outside of the video editing? People
probably don't realize how much time goes into camera angles and lighting and camera movement, and like there are little tricks we can do to, when a certain person walks into a room, maybe you turn the light in the background. There's somebody back there holding a light and they turn it and it changes to red. If you want that person to be kind of subconsciously say that person is evil or not good or whatever. There's all kinds of different lighting techniques, and a lot of it goes consciously unmissed, but subconsciously it tells your mind like, oh, this is happening, or it preps you for the next thing. And so there's a lot of that to go on, and I rely on my gaffer, I rely on my crew, my DP, my director of photography. Very important when you're filming to make sure that they focus on those things and make sure that they're just right. And then as a director, I watch, as I'm directing the actors, I watch on a screen shots that are being taken, and if I've got any adjustments or anything that I want to make, then I can refer to those people, the professionals, to do that.
Is there a documentary of filmmaking?
There's a couple. A lot of the stuff is like behind the scenes. Before I started directing, I signed up for masterclass.
Okay.
And I did a lot of director masterclasses before I started getting cast and crew together, because I wanted to make sure that I had a real good clamp on that and how to do it. This is a lot of research. This has been a learning process for me because I'd never done it before. So the writing was a learning process. The directing was a learning process. All the technical stuff. I was buying equipment. I bought a red Komodo X, which is a $30,000 camera setup, and there's lights and there's microphones. Just the microphone alone was $900. Then there's the mics that you put lav mics on people, so you've got a backup. And then I had to technically know how to use all this stuff. So when we were on set and somebody's like, hey, this isn't working, I can go, oh, we have to do this, this, and this. This is how to get it working again. So there was that technical aspects. There was also the IT stuff. I mean, if I wasn't good in IT, the budget alone for IT would have been astronomical. Just having a SharePoint so that we could put people who sent in their auditions and then put them in a folder and label them and put their information so we could go through it later. Things like that were, really important. Having meetings and throwing up ideas and pictures of, okay, well, it might look like this. It might look like that. We could do this. Storyboarding, shot lists, all that stuff has to be organized. And having a SharePoint to organize it was invaluable.
Hey, Princess Derp, I'm not your fucking bellhop.
It's a lake. A wonderful, beautiful, amazing lake. Look at it.
Girl, that is a dirty-ass pond.
I love that you just go from never having done any of it to literally being the one running the show, writing.
I mean, it's quite the endeavor.
I mean,
it was.
seriously. That's unbelievable.
And you said it took 24 days to
shoot.
To
After
shoot.
we had to schedule and hired all the actors and actresses and got the crew together, and I wrote it and
now
did all
I'm
the
understanding where
technical stuff,
6 years
Yes.
comes into play.
Yeah. Well, and especially being low budget, I have to do a lot of it myself. I can't afford to pay somebody to do all that stuff. I got to do it. So I had to learn how to run the camera. I had to learn how to do all that stuff so that I could show somebody else, all right, this is how you do it. And you're a DP, you know how to get the angles and how to, move the camera, but you may not know how this camera works. So let me teach you how this camera works so you know how to do it. Every little aspect, the lights, the slate, the timing, the audio recording equipment, the microphones, all that. And then it's, okay, where are we going to shoot? Okay, here are the locations we have. I got to find the locations because it ended up not being just at one location. It ended up being in 5 locations. So I had to get the 5 locations, and then you have to go, okay, does the crew and the cast for that location, can they go this day? Is that location available to rent that day? Nope. Okay. Oh, it's available to rent this day. Are you guys all available? Nope. One actor can't make it that day because they have a thing. Okay. Now I'm going to check another day. Scheduling, nightmare. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And dealing with a lot of people.
Yes.
Different kinds of people,
Yes.
from the artists to the back of the
Yes.
house kind of people and the brainiacs.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Very surprised. I did not expect to have the problem that I had, which is I had to make decisions on who's going to be what character. I thought when I first started this, I was going to put out a thing. People were going to show up. I may get 1 or 2 people, if I'm lucky, 1 person for each character. And I was just going to have to go with them no matter what their skill level was. The response I got was incredible. And I actually had to go through and painstakingly pick which is the best person for each character. And the talent that we got was absolutely amazing. I'm so impressed with every single one of them.
Well, so let's talk about how you knew when someone was the one for the role. So if they're all coming in and you've got all these people, are you shifting things around based on what you're seeing from them? Or
So I had a casting call at my house. I also allowed people to send in files and do their casting call that way. But I had auditions at my house. In my garage, it was me, my associate producer, Kaylee Kelter, and my other associate producer, Anna Molnar. And we invited people to my house, and we had a schedule. And they came in and they would read what's called sides, which is just a couple of pages from the movie of the character that we want them to be. How I would get actors and actresses to apply is I would put out stuff on a casting call on Facebook. I put out casting calls on a website called Backstage, which is where a lot of talent put their auditions and stuff and resumes. And then I would, on the website, the checkedoutmovie.com website, I had each character and I had their character description. And the actors could go and they could read the description, what kind of person they're like, so that they could prepare. We had some people that didn't seem very prepared. They would just show up and didn't know the lines and their sides and would just read. But we had people that really spent some time thinking about, this is what this character is. This is what this character wants to be. And so that's how we went through the process of deciding who was the best. We do a lot of merit-based stuff. So if I found that somebody was really trying to learn about the character and be the character and did some research before, that went a long way with me. The people who kind of just thought, oh, I'm going to come in and just do my thing and I'll be okay, those people didn't impress me very much. But the people that really focused and like thought about the character beforehand, you could tell when they came into the room. Same with their online auditions. It was the same way. And what I would do is, whether it was an online audition or in person, once they did the reading, I would give them direction, because the next important thing is, can they take direction? If I tell you to act a little happier or give me less, or, maybe we've got somebody does a lot of theater and there are a lot of facial expressions. Oh, tone it down. I don't want all the facial expressions because that really pops on camera and we can't have that. I need to be able to have somebody to do that. So you have to weigh all those things in. It's not just about how good they are as the character. It's also, can they take direction? Did they do their research? Did they learn their lines? And you have to kind of find a happy medium and all that.
Can they pivot?
Right. Can they pivot?
That kind of leads to, how much does casting shape the film versus the script shaping the cast?
Oh, it's pretty big. Casting is very important. Crew is very important, but casting is very important as well. I bring up the crew too, because they do so much that people don't know. Like, I want everybody out there, when you watch a movie in the theater, sit for the credits. Just look at all the people involved to make it, because everybody worked very, very hard. And some of them you don't even know. You have no idea. But the casting is very important as well. And having a person who can portray the character that you want is very important.
Did any of the characters that you had obviously developed when you wrote the film evolve based on the actors' interpretation? Yeah, I think that happens. I think that happens almost in would happen in almost every film. You can't get somebody exactly the way you imagined it, so you do tend to alter things. But like I said, I told my actors that I was entrusting them with this character and that I wanted them to use their professionalism and their minds to build the character and be the character. But that's part of the collaborative thing. It's like if you hire somebody to come in and fix a wall in your house, you don't go, well, you should do it this way. Because, you hired them. So it's my vision for a director, or being a director, is that it's not just your job to be a storyteller and tell the story, but it's also your job to support the cast and support the crew to make sure that your story is told the way it needs to be told, and to make them look good. If they need something, it's your job to make sure they get what they need so that they can be successful at their job. And their job is to be this character.
So basically, you're saying, like, you also have to find out if you have chemistry with the people, if they can take directing and all that. So when you're on set and you have your characters, how do you test if their chemistry is going to work and flow? I mean, was there ever a moment where you're like, these two are just not going to work together? You're on the hook with Johni and Jess.
If you're a musician, artist, or creative, your website shouldn't look like an afterthought.
Your brand is your stage, and your website is often the first place people decide if you're the real deal.
River City Consulting builds websites specifically for creatives, musicians, performers, and artists who need an online presence that matches their talent.
They're also the official website agency for the Hook podcast.
Learn more at rivercityamplified.com. That's rivercityamplified.com. And use promo code The Hook for serious savings.
Yes, there was an actress we had. She came on set, and her attitude basically, and she said this during her audition, she was very good. She was very prepared. She took direction very well. But one of the things that she had said during the audition process was, I'm not here to make friends. If I need to tell somebody blah, 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 I'm going to tell them blah, 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 blah. That turned into something that did not mesh with us, and she was replaced.
I can understand that. You got to be a team player for something like this, to be working so close together for so many hours.
Yeah. Was that one of those things that ended up being a secret blessing? Because
yes, the person that we replaced her with is absolutely amazing, 10 times better than the original. Yeah.
So I'm curious. We were watching Something Bad Is Going to Happen on Netflix, and we were talking about how in a lot of movies or series, it's more believable when the actors are less known. because it's not somebody that you're familiar with in 10 other roles. So you can really buy into them being this character. So what's your philosophy on, the big names sell, obviously, tickets. Where do you land philosophically on hiring somebody lesser known, let's say 10 years from now when you've got some of the biggest films out and you have the opportunity for Scarlett Johansson versus Sally from down the street that...
Yeah, that is something that when I get to that point, hopefully I can go back to, like I mentioned before, my merit-based audition system. I don't care if you have a big name. I don't care if you've got, all the best. If you're not right for the character, then I'm the storyteller, then I don't want you to be in the story. And that's nothing against the actor. They just may not be a good fit. They may not be able to grasp it. I think, though, actors in Hollywood, there are a lot of them out there that you can, and I kind of think it's from the beginning. If they start jumping around in the beginning of their career, it helps them, and they don't stay typecast. It will help them. But I've seen actors who will play in different movies, and you're like, that's not the same person as over there, and that's not the same person over there, and that's amazing talent to me. I
think there's two different levels of acting. Having done this stupid little murder thing, I realized how hard it is. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so being able to deliver lines believably is a skill in itself.
Yeah, you have to feel it in your heart and your head. You have to be there. Yeah.
But being able to then slip into an entirely different character that's almost unrecognizable and then slip into yet another one is next level to me. I looked this up because I was curious. From a production, the producer and the writer, there is a lot of overlap, even in Hollywood, right? I didn't know that. I always thought it was separate. So that was interesting. But when you're writing, are you also visualizing the scenes in your head because you are then jumping to the other hat of being the producer?
Yeah, the way I wrote this, how I write is I basically watch the movie in my head and I just write down what I see. So and then if I don't like a scene, I just watch it again differently and I write it down or change it. So that's my writing style. That's how I write. There are people that can't do that or they don't do that, but that's how I did it.
You don't get a lot of sleep.
I don't get a lot of sleep. I don't sleep a lot.
I would imagine during this 6-year period, you were waking up in the middle of the night, grabbing a pad of paper.
Well, also I'm a night owl, so I'll be up. Sometimes I'll be up writing or doing something along the lines like editing. And you look at the clock and you're like, all right, it's 9 o'clock. I can do this for 3 hours. I go to bed at midnight. I get some sleep. And then the next time you look at the clock, it's 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. You're like, what did I just do? What happened? And that happens a lot. So,
but that goes back to doing something you love. The time flies.
Yeah.
When you're in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing, career-wise, oh my God, 5 minutes feels like 5 hours.
Yeah.
But when you're in the right thing, you can go 5-6 hours and have no clue what happened.
Yeah.
It is really, I want to go back to college students and say, here's how you'll know you're doing what you were meant to do.
We're going to save you a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of heartache.
You need those, it's a ladder. You need those jobs to, sometimes gain the knowledge you'll need.
Yeah. Experience.
So.
And when you were talking about seeing the film in your mind, I mean, we hear artists and creatives talk about that, it just comes to them. So basically you're downloading a movie.
Yeah.
Which is super cool to me.
Yeah. I always thought, like, if we were in the Matrix for real, how much easier it would be, this whole process, because you could just plug in and then just download it to the computer.
Oh my goodness.
And you'd be done. And it wouldn't take 6 years to do all of this. But
I just listened to a podcast where they were talking about AI. I think Sharon Osbourne was actually being interviewed, and that's scary because we might be heading that way.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
That could be your next movie.
Yeah. It's a big thing in Hollywood now too. The whole AI thing. It's starting to take over, and it's not exactly where everybody wants to go because it's cutting out jobs for cast and crew and
true creativity of the person that's having things download in their mind, their ideas and thoughts downloading in their mind.
Yeah, and it's
sad.
Getting from your mind to screen there's a lot of communication involved. That's the most important thing, is the communication, because you see it, explaining it to somebody else, and then getting those people to do certain things. And, everybody's got their own job, and you get them all to do this job to try to get what you saw in your mind on screen. That's a huge task. It's a lot to do that.
Do you feel like you accomplished that?
I feel like I did, yeah. It changed, of course, in my mind several times as locations changed or they don't work out and you change different things. You know, you have to pivot, always pivoting, you know, it's ever evolving as you're doing it. It's a live thing that happens. But yeah, I think that what I saw in my head is what you're going to see on screen. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Checked Out. It's a thriller trilogy following a serial killer grappling with their past.
Yep.
And as both the writer and producer, how do you balance telling a complete story in the first film while still building something that can carry across a trilogy?
Yeah, so that actually happened when I realized that the story that I wanted to tell was going to take more than 2 hours. So once I realized that the story was going to take more than 2 hours, I was like, okay, I got to break this up into pieces. And so this is going to be the first piece, this is going to be the second piece, and then this will be the third piece, and that'll be able to tell the whole story. But I also thought of it in like acts in a play. So you have first act, second act, third act. Yeah, and so that's what I did. I broke down the first section. I told the story. I found a good ending spot that would lead into the others. But while I was writing it and while I was filming it, I made sure to keep those other two films in the back of my head because continuity, you can't go back and shoot something. So there's some things in this film that happen that the crew and the cast, they're like, I don't understand why this is happening. And I had to tell them, like, you'll find out later. You'll find out later. The other thing that I was able to do with this, because it was a low budget film, I think this helped. I wrote it in sections. So there's one section, two sections. There's like 7 sections in the movie. There's 3 main groups of actors that tell this story. And only 2 of them interact with each other. The rest of them do not interact with each other. So I was able to keep the sections separate. So the reveal at the end of the movie, only the person playing the character and the people who are in that section know the reveal. None of the other cast knows what happens at the end of the movie. They just know that they were in this part of the movie and this is what happened to their character and that's it. So when they go to the theater and watch it, they'll be just as excited to watch the movie and surprised as the regular audience. And I did that intentionally for them. And I gave them the choice. I said, if you want to know what happens, I'll tell you. But if you want to wait to see the movie, I don't have to tell you anything. So I only gave them the scripts of the sections they were in when we filmed. And that's all they knew about the story. So they still don't know what the story is.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just keep circling back to my murder mystery. That's exactly how they did it. I had no idea.
Really?
I love that.
That is really brilliant.
All right, what I want to know is if you are intentionally thinking of scenes to scare the hell out of people. Like, how does that, like, jump scares? Or, I mean, is there any of that in there where you're thinking through what would scare me or, you know?
There's not a lot of jump scares in the movie. It's a thriller, so there's more. I wanted to tell a story. I didn't want to go horror. I didn't want to be gory. It's very, as I told everybody, very Alfred Hitchcocky. You don't see any blood splatters or anything like that. But I wanted to focus more. I wanted to find a nice balance between the thriller and then getting the audience invested in the characters. So I found, I think, a good balance between the two. So my thought on that was that when something happens to a character, I want the audience to feel either sad or upset or happy, or I want them to feel it instead of just, if you rush through character development, then the audience doesn't feel anything with the characters, and it kind of ruins the experience. So I really wanted the audience to be invested in these characters because, of course, that's also what brings them to the theater to see the next one too. So, yeah.
I want to know, like in high school and college, were you in theater or art or art design, or what was like really piquing your interest when you thought you were going to go fly high and make movies, or what was it?
So when I was in high school, I was an art major. I did art. I drew, painted, pottery, all that stuff. I got my first taste of film there. We actually, in one of my technology classes, we filmed and did a technology instructional video where we edited it. It was an old machine. We did it on VHS, and we had the machine where we ran the VHS through and had to actually splice and edit things together, film it and edit it. That was kind of the first point when I was like, this is great. I love doing this. I love telling these stories. I love this. This could be something great. I'd love to do it. And then, of course, I was in theater. And then I got out of high school and I went directly into the military. I did 5 years in the Navy. And when I got out of the military, I was starting a family. So all of that kind of just went to the side. When I was younger, I was really into audio video stuff, and my dad always had stereo equipment around, and I learned how to hook all that stuff up. Then there was a friend of mine I was in the Navy with, and his wife worked for a company called EDS, which is Ross Perot's computer company, and she gave me a blueprint map and told me how fiber optics worked. And I went into an interview at a subcontractor of EDS and BS'd my way through the interview.
In case you're listening.
Got the job. And then I walked in there and was like, oh, I don't really remember a lot of this stuff. If you guys could, kind of OJT walk me through it. And I loved it. So I started getting computer certs, and I just completely moved away from the idea of ever going to Hollywood or being an actor or doing anything in film. And then I took that to the fullest. I ended up being an executive at HP. Junior exec. Yeah. I worked with a program called NMCI, Navy Marine Corps Intranet, which we built the first intranet in the military from the Navy and the Marine Corps. And we connected all the bases in the entire United States together on one intranet. And this was way before Office 365. And we were partnered with Microsoft and Dell. And I can see stuff today in those solutions that they give to businesses that grew from that project. That was the first time anybody had ever done anything like that. So I was on that for 16 years. And then I got out of there and started my own IT company here in Richmond. But there was always that itch in the back of my mind of, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. And so when my kids graduated and got out of high school and they were on their own and good, I was like, it's my turn. I'm doing something for myself. This is what I'm doing.
Now, from a creative standpoint, were you doing anything to keep your creative juices flowing? Because the IT is not.
Yeah, I would do little videos of me and my buddies. We'd go snowboarding out west, and I would make little videos of us, and they would be so annoyed with me sometimes. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go down. I'm going to set up right down here. You guys come down really fast. And I'm going to film you. And then they'd be like, oh, God. And we would pick a day. And it would be Josh's day, and that was the only day I was allowed to film heavy because they were like, "We just want to snowboard, dude. We just want to snowboard." But then they would love the videos that would come out of it.
Yeah, I wish we had a Josh in our family because we're so in the moment, which is great. But there's no proof of anything in my family that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Not pictures. We just don't remember to do it. So anytime you want to come film us.
Okay.
I've always thought about this in terms of the experience, and your taping time wasn't as long. Mm-hmm. Some of these movies that take months and months or a year even. But there seems like there'd be such a bond and such a connection with the crew, with the cast. You're in this moment together, and then suddenly it just feels like it would be so lonely and cold and sad when everybody kind of goes away.
It is. It's a big thing. When it was over and we were done filming and everybody went their separate ways, there's that loneliness that sets in on the car ride home that you're like, oh man, you just spent all this time with these people making this art. And now you're not hanging out with them every day anymore, seeing them. And we just filmed a miniseries. One of the actors in the film was inspired to write a miniseries. And so I executive produced 2 of the episodes because I want to take it to film festivals with the movie next year. And we all got back together, and it was so happy. We were all excited to see each other again, and it was just great. And then again, you get done with the first episode, and everybody's like, oh, it's on the way home, it sucked because you guys are awesome. I love working with you guys. And it really shows, one of the things we talked about is it really shows why you see certain directors and certain producers and certain actors all stick together in films. You're like, oh, look at they were in this movie together. They were in this movie together. Mm-hmm. Same director for all 3 movies. It's once you get a crew and a family that knows how to work together, and you just want to vibe and just be together and do what needs to be done, and you all can read each other and what the other one's thinking, and it becomes like a little family. Yeah, it helps. So, and then you get somebody that comes in from the outside that doesn't vibe, it really sends ripples through the whole creative process. It'll set you off kilter. Yeah.
I don't think I could handle it. I get so attached. I mean, even when we're here tonight and Johni drives off, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
I want all my favorite people to just be together all the time.
Yeah.
Especially after a bonding like that.
Yeah.
Where you're creating almost like you're a child.
And also being a low budget film, the locations that I rented were Airbnbs. And usually I would rent the location Airbnb, but then I would have another house that I would rent for crew. And so we were living together too. Oh. It was a lot of the people that worked, especially in the large section of the movie, they were like, it was like it was like video summer camp. It was like movie summer camp. We went and we spent 2 weeks together making a film, and we stayed in these Airbnbs, and it was like summer camp. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's what I like to hear. Like, that means I put together an environment and people that could work together, and that makes me satisfied.
That is pretty amazing, actually.
I'm curious, after all the time that you put into this, editing, we know you lose perspective in the midst of it. Mm-hmm. You're just trying technically sometimes to get there. When you, for the very first time, sat back and watched it from start to finish, what did that feel like?
It felt really good, but my perfectionist brain was not happy. And immediately I went to my associate producers and I was like, watch this. Tell me what to fix. That was my biggest push. Like, that's where it's really important to have a valuable team too, not just on set, but afterwards, to look at this stuff and be like, why am I getting the feeling that this is garbage? You need to tell me, because I can't see it, because I've looked at it for so long. You get to that point where you watch a scene and your brain tells you, I know what's going to happen, and it stops paying attention. And so that's one of the hardest parts, like I mentioned before, about editing. So it's important to have a good team to watch it with you. But once we got all of that fine-tuned and worked out, and then we watched it together and we showed it to an outside source who was somebody not invested emotionally, and they liked it, then that's when you go, okay, I got something here. This could be good. Yeah.
Nice.
It's important to have somebody and to be able to take constructive criticism and have somebody who will give it honestly and not candy coat it and be like, oh, you're the writer producer. I'm just going to blow smoke up your ass.
Yeah. Last thing you need is yes men.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. You don't want that. My associate producers are brutally honest with me, and I love it, because they're like, this sucks. You need to fix this. Okay, cool. Blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah.
You'd much rather have them tell you.
Oh, yeah, instead of an audience.
For you to throw that out there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And have to hear it from people that don't know you.
You can't be thin-skinned in this industry. You can't. You have to be able to take the criticism.
Oh, my God. No. We need to hide.
Mommy, what is it?
One of your casts got the opportunity to do a mini series, and you were just working with him on that.
Yeah, he actually wrote it.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Dwayne Daniels II. He plays Braden in the movie, and he was inspired to write a miniseries. And I read the first script for the first episode, and it was amazing. It blew my mind. I was like, this is great. And he's like, I'd really like to make this. And I said, let's do it. And he started a production company and started putting some money into it. And I said, well, we're going to use all my equipment and from the movie, because I have all this equipment, all this lighting, all these mics, the camera equipment, top end stuff. And I said, I'm going to also, put some money into this too, and let's get this made. And we made the first one, and it's really good. And then he has a second episode, and we just wrapped on filming on that. There's 8 episodes. I told him, I said, I need you to flush out the ideas of the rest of the episodes. And when we go to film festivals, we can try to pitch it to bigger production companies and see if we can't get this thing made. That's the goal with it. There's a lot to learn about that too. Film festivals and the business side of it and pitching it. And there's tons of stuff I'm learning about that. It's kind of a day by day. I find something new. The Virginia Production Alliance had a director come in to talk to a group of people and invited us to come. And I went and talked to him, and he looked at the president of the Virginia Production Alliance and said, you're probably going to hate me for saying this. And then looked at the crowd and said, if you want to be in the big boy league, you need to play with the big boys. You can't take a film and stick it in the Virginia Film Festival and think that that's going to do something. You need to put it in Hollywood. You need to put it in the Big Ten. And they want your premiere. So you better not put it in any other film festival before you send it to South by Southwest or Tribeca or any of those. They want your premiere, because Warner Brothers, Sony, they're all there with checkbooks. So, and I didn't know that. I was ready to go, okay, this is done. Let me stick it in the next film festival that comes around the corner. Bloop, there you go. I would have ruined my chances at any of the Big Ten if I had done that. So thankfully I went to this director's TED Talk and heard that, and then I started doing research, and I was like, holy cow, I got to wait till next year now, because all of those deadlines are in January. So I have to wait till next year before I can submit this, because I was going to submit it right away. I was ready to go in June to submit it to something, and nope, I got to hold off.
So I have a question for you. Now that you've been a director and a writer, and now you've helped someone direct, where do you think you really like being?
I like being in the director's chair.
You do? Okay.
I do. He wanted to direct, and I said, yeah, you need to direct, because I started teaching him. So I wasn't necessarily I was the EP, but I wasn't really any crew position, but I was there kind of like in his ear going, you should do this, or blah, 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 or try to do this, and like giving him the lessons that I learned the hard way. And he would always refer to me for stuff. So like, oh, does that shot look good? Blah, blah. I'm like, yep, looks great. But it's very important when you do something like that to make sure that the person who wrote it and the person you gave the helm to is actually driving the boat. You don't step in and step on their toes. You would be on set, and one of the things you call before you say action is you say roll camera, roll audio, and that tells the camera operator to start recording and the audio guy to start recording. So roll camera, roll sound. And he would say, roll camera, roll sound. And I said, Dwayne, is that a question, or are you telling them to do it? And he'd be like, I'm like, you're the director. This is your set. Whose set is this, Dwayne? He's like, this is my set. Say it again. This is my set. Like, yes, this is your set. You tell people what to do around here. So what is it? And he's like, all right, roll camera, roll sound. I'm like, there you go. That's it.
Nice.
So that, little things like that. But I try to help out. But I really like the directing more and being in the director's chair than I'm happy to do that with anybody. I have another cast member, Charlotte Kulak. She wrote a short film, and we are filming that in August. And it's absolutely amazing.
Very
it's
cool.
So good. The script is, it's hilarious. It's so great. But we're filming that in August, and she's another one who's going to step into the director's chair. So I'm going to help her and guide her through it. But I would much rather be the director for stuff. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're almost creating your own umbrella where you could bring people in.
That's the goal with this. So this isn't like something willy-nilly that I'm just doing. It's become, being an entrepreneur, it's become a business that I want to feed it. I want it to grow. And everybody who's been involved with these productions, I want them to continue to be involved with them. But my goal basically over the last, the 6 years was the movie, but we filmed in 2024, and we filmed the first episode of Dwayne's miniseries in 25, and then the second episode in 26, and then later 26 is the other short film that we're doing. It's basically the resume for Osprey Media Studios, and this is the work we can do with the team that I've put together. And so hopefully other EPs and production companies will look at this and go, okay, we need to hire this company to make our movie because this is what we want.
So the process of picking a soundtrack.
Yes. That is crazy. So that's another part of the editing process that's it's the sound in editing. That's another thing that probably people take for granted. You have to pick out the sounds that happened around the actors. It's not just what you get on set. You do something called, it's Foley, and you take different sounds like footsteps, doors opening, creaking, floors creaking, knocking on a door, all that kind of stuff you have to add in there. And then there's 5.1 or 7.1 or Atmos design where you take the sounds and you move them around in the scene so that you hear them from one speaker into another speaker. All of that has to happen. And then there's the music tracks on top of it. And you may want to use a song, and I have the very bad habit of sometimes finding a song that creatively I will hear it and it will trigger a scene in my head, and I will watch the scene and listen to the music, and then I will write and film and edit a scene to a song, and now I'm stuck. And I'm like, this song goes with this, and I can't use it because it's copyrighted. So in my writing, I use music a lot for inspirational feel for things. So that's a bad habit to get into, but you have to work around it, pivot. So I have some composers for this to fill in the blanks, and I've sent them cuts of the movie with the songs that I wanted to use or the songs that inspired me so that they could get, they could go in that direction with it. So I think we've hit the mark pretty good with that. But that's something else that's very important too, is the music. You gotta have the music to give that extra feeling. Sound is, I would have to say, more than 50% of the emotional pull in a film, just watching it and seeing it. But if you've got a soundtrack and sounds to back it up, really put the audience in that scene with that person and try to help them feel what the feeling is going on, then that's even more gold. So,
I mean, most of the time for me, just when the music starts getting scary, I automatically start going, I put my finger in my ears and I go, la, 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 because I know it's coming.
Yeah.
Well, that movie that came out a couple years ago, that was innovative. I'll give it that. But that had no sound, because if they spoke, it would awaken whatever.
Yeah.
I sat in that theater, and I'd say probably 15 minutes in, and I'm a little ADHD, but I mean, I was bouncing, I was twitching.
Yeah.
Halfway through, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't, I could not. I had to walk outside. I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit there without anything else. All right, Josh.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've listened to any of the Hook episodes, but we are at the stage in our interview that we call the speed round.
Oh boy. Okay.
So put your director hat on, your writer hat on, your IT hat on. No, I'm just kidding. These are going to be really easy questions, but it's just first thing that comes to mind. So don't overthink it. I know you can be an overthinker.
Yes.
Just first thing you think of, and we're going to do, I don't know, a handful of these.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to kick off our speed round next.
Favorite movie of all time?
Star Wars.
That was quick. Most underrated film?
Oh. Geez, that's a tough question. I just had a Rolodex go through my head.
I saw it.
I just had a Rolodex go through my head. There is a movie called Best Laid Plans that came out. God, I think it was the late 90s. It's great. It's a lot of people they're like, I've never heard of that movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. It's got a lot of twists and turns, and at the end, your mind is blown. So, and you don't expect it.
Favorite director?
Oh, Martin Scorsese.
Actor that you would drop everything to work with?
If I could work with Jack Nicholson, I'd drop everything for Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, The Shining.
Right.
Amazing.
A movie you wish you had made?
The Godfather series is one of my top movies. Also, Goodfellas.
I was going to say, that would be mine. I love Goodfellas.
I have movie posters in my house, down my hallway and up my stairs. I've printed out some of my favorite movies, and Goodfellas, Fight Club. But then there's classics like E.T. and Jaws, 2001: A Space Odyssey, movies like that. Scream, The Ring. Oh my gosh, The Ring is a great thriller, scary movie. I love The Ring. Yeah.
Guilty pleasure movie.
Oh, this is like a movie that you'll watch no matter what it's on. You're in the middle of it. Goodfellas for sure. I could be changing the channel if it's 10 minutes left in the movie. I'm not changing the channel anymore. I'm going to watch the rest of that movie.
Same.
Yeah.
Best movie soundtrack?
Oh, best movie soundtrack? Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump has got the best music in it. It's so amazing.
Yeah. One movie everyone should watch.
I'm going to go with Forrest Gump again on that one, because that movie is really good at like pulling your heartstrings and then also making you laugh. And then also it's beautifully filmed. All the locations are absolutely amazing. And the soundtrack is like top notch.
All right. Well, you had passed your speed round.
Good.
We can flip it around. If you have any questions you want to ask us.
It's time for Reverse Cowgirl.
Anything you want to know about us? Oh.
What kind of movies do you guys enjoy?
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh,
like I feel Holly Golightly's heart. I can't even tell you. I just feel her.
Yeah.
Always have.
Johni and I are always opposite. My favorite movie of all time was Pulp Fiction.
Oh, it's great.
Followed by Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my goodness.
Very good. Very good. Those are both
it goes
great
back
movies.
to me going, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
Such a chicken. I have to leave the light on forever if I watch a thriller, but I do like thrillers. I don't like the gory stuff, so I'm excited. I get to watch your movie.
So Tarantino once said, you don't need to go to film school. You just need to make a movie. That's your film school. And I agree 100%. After going through this process, I 100% agree. That is the best way to learn how to make films, is just go do it and make a film. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And you don't have to film it on, like, I was afforded the luxury of having funds to be able to buy the expensive camera and the expensive lights. And that stemmed from talent that I was able to get. Once I started seeing the talent that I was hiring, I was like, these guys deserve more than being filmed DSLR camera. I'm like, I need to do more. And then once the story started developing more, and I was like, I need to buy more. And what had happened was I had been saving up for a sports car for about 15 years. The sports car that I always wanted my entire life. And I was almost at the goal. And I was looking at the money in my bank, and I was like, I can either buy the sports car and it can sit in my garage and I can drive it every once in a while, or I can invest in myself and I can make this movie that I've always wanted to make, do something I've always wanted to do, can make this movie, and I can someday die knowing I won't be able to say, oh, I wish I would have did that. And that became more valuable than the sports car. And so I took the money and I spent it on this. And so that's where I got the funding for this film. I tried to do a GoFundMe. That didn't get much traction. Indiegogo. That didn't get much traction. So I ended up just saying, I'm going to just put the money into it and make it because I need to get this made. I'm not going to sit around and wait and play that whole game with like trying to get people to donate and ask people for money, which I'm uncomfortable with anyway, asking people like, oh, invest in me because I've never done anything before. And so invest in me because it'll work out. Like, yeah. So I just did it myself. I had some people who donated, but it wasn't nearly close to the budget that I ended up spending on this thing. But that's where that came from.
Let's talk about where people can find out more about your work.
So right now we're developing the Osprey Media Studios website, ospreymediastudios.com. We're going to be putting on the short films and the movie, links to the IMDb's and actually special pages just for those things. But right now, if you go to checkedoutmovie.com, you can see the trailer and you can read about the story. It's also on IMDb. The IMDb link, I think, is on the website. But if you look up Checked Out on IMDb, you can get some information on it there.
For closing credits, who do we have in Checked Out?
So if you want to see more about the cast and crew on checkedoutmovie.com, I have an entire list and their headshots of who's in it and the part that they play. All right, so we have Emily M. Phelps, who is a true crime author. He's on the New York Times bestseller list. He's written a lot of books. Excellent writer. He also has a podcast called Paper Ghosts, and he's in the movie. He plays Professor Russo. Then we have Gia Ray, Gia Ray is actually an artist, and she's in Charlottesville. So look her up on Spotify and Apple Music. She just came out with a new album. She's a great artist. Alex Underwood, we have him playing the father role. We have Margaret Renner. She's playing the older sister. We have Catherine Richter. She plays the middle sister. And then we have Leo, and his family doesn't put out his last name. But we have Leo. He plays the boy. The first section of the movie.
He's the child.
He's a child. He's like it's like a family.
I was really freaked out for a minute that there was an adult whose family wouldn't let him put his name.
It's going to be a long life.
No.
It makes sense now.
He was 6 when we filmed this.
Wow.
So she was like, we don't want to put his name out anywhere. And I was like, okay, I got it. So we just call him Leo. We have Ike Fessler. He plays John. Vivian Lee. She's out of Chicago. She's in a lot of stuff. You look up her on Instagram. Same with Ike Fessler. Look them up on Instagram. They're in lots of movies and shows. They do a lot of work. Jason Robinson. He plays Dennis. Sarah Lemon. She plays Michaela. Charlotte Kulak. She plays Sarah. Patrick Pfeffer. He plays Jordan. Dwayne Daniels II. He plays Braden. Dwayne Daniels is the one who wrote the miniseries that we're filming now. He's an excellent writer. His stories are very dynamic and it's amazing. Olivia Cruz plays Marilyn. Lucas Green, he's out of Virginia Beach. He plays Malachi. Malachi's character is kind of, all of these characters have stemmed from either people that I've known or me. A lot of me went into these characters. Malachi is a film student, so you can imagine how that is.
Every thriller has to have a Malachi.
Yeah. And then Jayla Hill, she's in Virginia Beach. She plays Taylor. That's the cast. One of the biggest people that I wanted to thank was Anna Molnar. She was our makeup and costume designer, and I rarely had to worry about her and her team and her people. I gave them ideas and I gave them my vision and they ran with it, and then the stuff they came back to me with was exactly what I was thinking, and it was just so amazing. Because of that, she took so much stress off this process because she's so good at what she does. I tell people all the time, the actors, they made the characters come to life, but she made them real. With all the work that she did, she made them real. And it meant a lot to me that she did that. The other person is Tommy Terrell. He was our director of photography, and original director of photography had a family emergency like 3 days before we started shooting, couldn't make it. And I barely knew Tommy. I met him from like one other little thing. And somebody else in the crew was like, maybe you should call Tommy. I was like, I barely know Tommy. Like, he's going to drop everything and shoot a feature film with me. Like, pff. And I called him, and he was like kind of hesitant in the beginning. He's like, yeah. And then he's like, can I bring my brother, which was Jones Lee. Jones, we call him Jonesy. Jonesy was like amazing on set. For 15 years old, he was the focus puller. He made sure every shot was in focus. But Tommy came on, and he was absolutely amazing. He was master at lighting, a master at camera work, and he made all the shots look like absolutely fantastic. There's a shot in the movie where somebody's running through the woods, and I was not expecting this. I was like, okay, we're going to get a shot of them running through the woods. And I'm standing outside, and it's 4:30 in the morning, and I yell action, and the actress comes running through the woods, and here comes Tommy with the camera handheld, which the camera weighs about 35 pounds. And he comes running behind her, chasing her with the camera, and I did not expect that. And I was like, holy cow. And it turned out to be one of my favorite shots in the whole movie. But it was so great with the lighting and everything. And we ended up nicknaming him Tommy Two Guns after that, because he's got two guns. Strong Tommy to carry that 35-pound camera as much as he did handhelds. And then Kaylee Kelter is really the other half of my brain in this whole thing. She went to film school, and so she was our lead production consultant. I was in the trenches doing stuff. And if I got stuck on something, like, I would call her, because she's got another film job that she does on a day-to-day basis. She's busy all the time, and I would call her 2-3 o'clock in the morning or text her, and she'd be right there answering me and like, oh, you should do this, or you should do that, or oh, the proper way to do this is this, or we got to get this done, or we got to do that, and help me make checklists. And she reviewed scripting with me, and she did casting with me, and she was a big help through the whole thing. She was like the Robin to my Batman, so it was really important to have her. She was a blessing. So it took a village. It took everybody. So.
Cool. That's a pretty big cast.
Yeah, it is a pretty big cast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a couple other like smaller cast members, but they're not listed here. They're just like 2-second like background people and stuff. But yeah.
Very cool. Josh, what I would love to wrap up with is for anyone listening that wants to get into filmmaking, what would you leave them with? What advice would you give?
I would say go make a film. That's it. Go make a film. You don't have to do anything like I've done and put a ton of money your personal money into it. I've done that because I'm in the point in my life where I'm older and I don't have time to slowly build up, but make a film. One of our crew members, Jones Lee, he is a high school student here in Richmond. And he's actually in a production at his school. He's the Cowardly Lion. They're doing The Wizard of Oz. He came on set because his brother, Tommy Terrell, is my DP, my director of photography. And so he came on set and he was like, can I bring my brother? He loves film. He loves doing stuff. I said, yeah, bring him along. We'll teach him anything he needs to know. He pulled focus for the whole movie. So when you see a shot, if it's in focus, it's because of Jonesy. We call him Jonesy.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was 15 when he was on set. And working with all of us, and he fit in, and like, he's very mature. He actually filmed a movie, and he did it on an iPhone. And on the private screening, he's cut together a trailer for it. I'm going to show it in the previews, but he's going to release it in July. And he did it with his friends on an iPhone. Like, that's all you need. Just write something, film it, and put it out there. Like, you put it out there and you get feedback from people, get feedback from your friends, get feedback from your family, get feedback from people you don't even know. Show it to them if they want to see it. Say, hey, you want to see a free movie? Watch this. And then take that criticism and use it to alter what you did and make another one, and then make another one, and just keep going at it. And eventually you'll master the craft and get you to the point where you can make good stuff and you'll get noticed.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. All right. Cool.
Thank you for being on the hook with us, Josh.
We're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I had a great time. This is great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you're creative and listening to this,
we want your story.
the messy one,
The real one.
the one you don't usually have the opportunity to share. I'm Johni.
I'm Jess.
You're on the hook.
Full of monsters
Make sure to follow us on social media at Johni and Jess on TikTok, and you can find The Hook with Johni and Jess on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
To stay up to date on new episodes, featured artists, and what's coming next.
God, I pray for relief. God, don't leave me alone. It's dark and